better hand me the mic.
All right. Well, here we are. We made it.
Here we go.
We made it to, I don't think this is like a podcast. It will be one day.
Yeah, one day.
But this is more just like a discussion, hangout.
Yeah. Recorded.
Recorded.
We hang out a lot.
We do. We live together. We're married. No, I think being people on social media and the things that we do, what we post, what we share, I think we've been wanting to be deeper for a long time and kind of have an avenue for us to talk about things and share thoughts and what the Lord's doing.
What's funny is we've had the idea to do stuff like this for literally forever, for years, and it never would happen because of just all the crazy that we were walking through. And so to be at a place now where we feel like we can.
Healthy.
Good.
Yeah, it feels good.
It's really good.
Yeah. So I think one day there will be a podcast. I think we just wanted to sit down and talk for a little bit. I have a bunch of new equipment that, let me show y'all. I have a bunch of new equipment set up in a little switcher here in our living room that I've been needing to test out. And this gives me a good opportunity to do it. So we wanted to talk about marriage a little bit, just from the Christian perspective, which is the right perspective. It's a unique topic for people, I think, especially being young, married peoples. Even though, we're still young.
Are we young?
We're young, yeah. Latter 20s.
I'm about to be 29, so that's
old.
Getting up there.
You are, but I think young at heart, and also we started our family young. I came into the marriage, into a family unit.
Right,
I think there's unique. The
blended family dynamic as a whole.
That's a whole episode. That's a whole situation. But I think people right now in the world, we know people personally, like it's hard out there. Like what's going on in the world? Like people are really facing hardships in marriage, in life, in sin struggles, and thank God the Lord has allowed us to walk through things and has brought us through them for the very reason to, share a little bit about how we got through it, what God's done, how to encourage the next person. But when it comes to marriage, I think it's easy for people to throw in the towel when it gets tough.
Oh, yeah.
When the going is,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think I want to know, just from your perspective, from a woman's perspective, like when you are talking to Christians or you see young people, like what would you encourage a young woman going into marriage with those, or anybody, men or women, with those preconceived notions, those ideas? What would you say to look out for?
I would say, first things first, don't think of marriage as something that's going to complete you or even fix your problems. Because if you have problems before marriage, you get married, they're not going to go away. They're going to be actually magnified. It's going to be revealed what your problems are. If you have unhealed trauma, if you have something that you've been holding on to, or secret sin struggles or anything.
Oof, that's good.
That stuff will not just come into the marriage with you, but it'll be magnified.
Yeah.
And you won't have a choice but to deal with it. So you might as well deal with it prior.
That's so real. No, like you think of people who, I know for me, like this was definitely me. I thought marriage would fix my problems. And I was going through, and we'll talk about this in depth someday soon, but I was going through my own stuff, like my own addiction or sexual struggles or things that no one knew about. And I thought when I got married, like, oh, this is going to solve everything. Like I'm going to come into this and I'm going to be fixed and I'm going to like not struggle anymore. Or I think men, especially who deal with like sexual struggles or they're dealing with pornography or whatever they're battling, they think like getting married is going to fix that. And man, that's so not true.
Yeah. And it works for both sides. I would say primarily, maybe you would see men more and then women more so thinking marriage is going to like complete them. Like all their life, they've just dreamed about being a wife and a mother. And those are God-given desires. Like, those are, God gave you those desires. However, Jesus is the only thing that's going to complete you.
That's right.
If you're feeling incomplete prior to marriage, you're going to be married still feeling incomplete because Jesus hasn't completely filled that void for you.
Side note, I've always been irked when I hear young women say, like, I'm just dating Jesus right now. Like, I'm just in the season of just like
Not the season of singleness.
season of single. But like to a degree, there's truth in that. Like maybe you're not dating Jesus, but like you and Jesus, like that has to be a priority.
We're all dating Jesus. Like we should all be in a relationship with a daily relationship with the Lord.
That's it.
We should all be
Daily bread, bro.
abiding with the Lord. Like
Abiding.
we are his bride. In fact, we're already like in covenant with Jesus if we believe, you know?
Wow. So many people trying to get satisfaction and gratification from the earthly covenant that we make with our spouse.
Right.
And they're not seeking the covenant that gives life, that new wine, the covenant that, you know, restores your soul. Yeah. Wow. That's real.
Fan on. Got this fan on in here and my hair is blowing into
If my wife had her way, she would have the AC on like 73.
It's not that I'm cold.
I need it on like
lip gloss.
68 degrees all the day long. Oh, the lip gloss. That's a struggle. That's
It is a struggle. The girls know. The girls know.
So you think like people come into marriage and they're bringing their baggage, you know, they're bringing their stuff.
And we all do.
We do.
I mean, we all have some sort of baggage.
Yes, unless you're like me and you brought luggage. Like I had to bring, you know, you either have baggage or you have luggage. And I think
there wasn't no carry-ons.
No, there wasn't no room. Yeah. Check it at the gate. Check that at the gate.
Those are some big bags.
Well, what would you say to people who, you know, they have that baggage, you know, and there's friction in resolving that conflict? Because I think a lot of people are
that are already married, struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it a lot. I see a lot of one spouse saying, my spouse does this, and I need him fixed. Mm-hmm. I need this to be better. I need him to be better. I need him to lead my family. I need him, you know, and it's like, you might be right. Like all of those things should change, but how do you get there? Yeah. Love and respect turns the heart.
That's good.
Men need respect. Women need love. You know, we all know that. That
was in a book that we read recently that like transformed how I think we both communicate with each other.
What were those books called?
The For Men Only, For Women Only.
For Men Only, yeah. For Women Only.
It's somewhere over there.
Great books.
It talked about how like at the basis of every man is the need to be respect, and for every woman is the need to be loved. Yeah. And those are the two driving forces that men and women need, you know, to be fulfilled. Like when a guy like gets disrespected, that stings more so than maybe not being told I love you, you know. But for a woman, it's like that validation, understanding that you're cared for and loved is that root of
everything.
Yeah. It's so important.
Yeah. So a lot of times I see comments, DMs, Marceau DMs about wishing your spouse would change. And a lot of times I'm just like, listen, I've been there. And in my experience and in the experience of people that I know personally, like I've seen it over and over again. It starts with you. Like it sounds so cliche, like be the change you want to see, but like truly,
wow.
When your spouse sees the fruit of your relationship with the Lord, the grace that you're walking in,
that's good. The
faith that you have, the love that you show, the way that you parent, the way that you treat your spouse, even when they don't deserve it. Because I mean, none of us deserve anything, if we're being honest. But like, you may feel like you're doing everything that you can and you're not getting that reciprocated. And I hate to Galatians 6:9 you, but I will, because I got this over and over again. And I was like, I'm tired of hearing it, but it's so true. Don't get weary in well-doing. It sucks. Like it does suck being the only, like feeling like you're the only one doing well. Yeah. But if you think about the grace that the Lord has shown you, it'll usually help you to shift your perspective to show your spouse enough grace.
That's right.
In certain areas. Obviously, I'm not talking about like abuse or
no
crazy stuff, but you know, those everyday struggles that, you know, a lot of times I see when people come to me for like advice, which first of all, I'm like, do you know what I just walked through? Like, and maybe that's why they come to me for advice. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I see a lot of people in marriage with their arrows pointed at each other. And I feel like we have to also come to the understanding that there's a common enemy and it ain't me or you.
That's right, babe. That's so good. And that's scripture. We don't war against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And if we realize that, the devil is doing everything he can to come against marriage, because marriage is the very institution that represents the love that God has here on earth. Like Jesus and his bride, there's a beautiful representation of perfect love, and it's in marriage. The devil wants that broken up. Yeah. He wants to drop down, flip it, and reverse that thing. To pervert it, disgust it, break it.
Yeah. That's
bind it.
And that obviously, when we say that, that doesn't excuse the acts of man. No, obviously, there's flesh involved. There's decisions. Absolutely. There's choices that are made. But at the end of the day, strongholds are very real.
That's right.
And
that's right.
If you're not warring in the spirit for your family, you're doing it wrong. Like if you're going through something hard and you're complaining about it to your girlfriends more often than you're praying about it and asking the Lord for wise counsel or going to leaders and mentors, like,
come on,
you're already doing it wrong. You're not going to win.
Are you complaining about it or are you praying about it?
I've been there. Listen, all these things we're saying because we've done them.
We have. We made it.
But
no, that's so good. There's a story in the Bible of a man named Rehoboam who was seeking counsel from his friends, people around him in his little circle, and it wasn't the right counsel, and it backfired. Mm-hmm. And I think there are many people who are looking to their circle, and they think they're seeking counsel, but really they're just complaining and wanting to validate their complaints to give them a reason to be mad,
looking for that justification. And let me tell you how. Case building. Let me tell you how you know that you're doing this. If this is you, this might be you. I'm not saying that it is. I don't know. But if you find yourself asking your friend for advice and they come at you with something that's biblical, something that's scripturally sound, something that is not hasty, something that doesn't sound like it's coming from a place of hurt, if they come at you with some sound advice and you put the arm out and you're like, that's not what I want to hear, you can pretty much know. Wow. You're not looking for a solution. You're looking for someone to help build your case.
Yeah. Wow. And on the flip side of that, there are definitely circumstances where, like, if trust has been broken, things have gone wrong, there is a responsibility to own up to that. And, for people to be held accountable. Absolutely. But I think looking at the deeper problem, like when it's recognizing an attack from the enemy as an attack from the enemy, like you have to have that sound counsel. You have to have those voices that are slow to speak, quick to hear, and seek the Lord. And I think that's a beautiful representation of like wisdom,
true wisdom. Let me ask you this, because this is also a question that I've gotten before. Someone will say, where do I find somebody like that? Where do I find a mentor or, someone that's in leadership that'll actually take the time to like talk to me? Obviously, we know we all have a pastor. We should have a pastor of a church that we go to. Your pastor cannot be the personal pocket pastor for every person in your church. It's physically impossible. So what would you say?
I mean, if you're in a healthy church, that pastor has then equipped and built up leaders to spread out the works of the ministry, to walk with people. I think a lot of people look at people online and they see things they want to emulate. They see an influencer who's beautiful and gorgeous and like the makeup and the family and the lifestyle. And then she's a Christian. It's like, oh my God, I love her. And they want to emulate that. Yeah. And I think they see somebody who posts encouraging things online, or the scriptures, or the little sound bites that are really encouraging and catchy. And I want what they have. And those things are great and all. But let me just tell y'all, like, are they posting about it or are they living it out? At some point, the faith that you have on social media is going to have to be the faith you have in real life. And I think a lot of people look at these influencers, Christian influencers, pastors even, and they're like, man, if only I could be close to them, would I be where I want to be? And let me tell you what, you know where you need to be? You need to be in the house of the Lord. You need to be in the front row.
You need to be talking to those volunteers in the altar ministry
Absolutely.
team that are just
Mhm.
that are working the
Yes.
background but trained to pray, that are
You need to go to the kids department and speak to Miss Sandy, who's been working in the nursery for 30 years,
That's right.
and talk about some
There's some
consistent,
wisdom right
faithful, committed people.
yeah.
There's wisdom right there.
Yeah.
And not to, I mean, the social media people, like these are people we know and love.
We know
They're our
some
friends.
solid people.
And they're great.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you may not, don't quit looking on the top of the mountain. Look at the people who are in the valley and who walk through it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Go get some counsel of people who will really get in the trenches with you
Yeah.
and speak life.
That's good. And look for opportunities for mentorship. Like if your church like ours has a mentorship program kind of
Yeah.
thing, like I'm a part of a mentorship program, and I got to be honest, it was hard for me to join.
Yeah.
I know you just looked at me sideways because you thought I wasn't going to be honest about it, but I am.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to do it.
Tell 'em.
I told my mentor this. I was like, this was so hard for me because I did not want to do this, because I was like, I can't even believe I'm going to out myself like this.
Do it.
But I was like,
This
I was
is so
like-
real. This is so real, y'all.
what am I going to learn that I don't already know?
Wow. Wow.
That is the dumbest mindset I've ever had.
That's so,
And I'll admit it.
oh man, that's real.
I'll admit it. And let me tell you,
But we all go there. We all
I
get
know.
that. We all feel that.
I know, but I was in full-time ministry for, I don't know, 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's not a whole lot of time, but it's enough to know a lot of things about the ins and outs of ministry, of church. You know, I just felt like it was almost like I didn't want to humble myself enough to be a mentee before I can become a mentor.
Being made low.
There's a whole word
Being made low.
found in that.
Humble yourself.
But I
Oh.
had to humble myself. And the more I kicked against it, the more the Lord was like, this is something that you absolutely need to do. And for you to even question
Yeah.
if you should do it should be confirmation enough.
Yeah.
Because your flesh is fighting. Why is your flesh fighting?
Ooh, check your flesh.
I mean, it was hard.
Flesh check.
Yeah.
Is your flesh fighting? If it is, the Lord may be in it. That's so good.
Yeah.
Wow, babe. So I think mentorship is key
Yeah.
to growth.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Christians are afraid of that
Mhm.
because they're afraid of accountability.
Yeah.
They're afraid for someone to see deep into who they are.
Do you know how vital it is to have people around you that can look at you and be like, something ain't right?
I
Mm-mm.
wish I would have had that earlier in my life.
Earlier. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you definitely had
now,
it.
man, I got people
You have it
looking
now.
everywhere. There ain't a crook or crevice that is covered in my life.
You have it now. And so do I. I went years and years without really having like
Yeah.
a real mentor or even friends that would call me out.
And that's not to the fault of people that were around
No,
us
no,
in
no.
our previous season, because we did that to ourselves.
We did that to ourselves.
We created this wall around us, feeling like we had arrived.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we knew. We weren't carrying ourselves in pride. We weren't walking like I'm better or I know everything. It was this hidden pride. And what sucks about it is it was false humility, which is the ugliest kind of pride,
Ew.
because sometimes you don't even know you have it.
Yikes. We were though.
Mm.
We were like preaching,
Teaching,
just worship leader,
preaching, teaching, and reaching.
you know,
We were doing it.
we were doing it. And in the background,
Our well was empty.
so empty. And we were so isolated. We didn't open ourselves up to anyone around us. And it's not that we didn't have the access.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have access to the Lord. Like, you know,
Yeah.
we just,
Yeah. Oh.
and you know how you get there, you get burned out.
Mm.
I feel like the way that it happened for us was like, I mean, actually, you're a whole different story. You were kind of a hot mess.
Yes, I was on the Hot Mess Express. I had rode it for a while, had a ticket round trip. But
You know, the thing about a round trip ticket, though, you go there, but you come back home.
Lord, let me tell you what, you may be on the Hot Mess Express, but you're on a round trip, baby. That ticket, that train is coming home. Oh, Rabashikiata. Oh my God.
I love that.
That was good. Wow. It's true though. It's so true. You may be going through it. You may be on the isolation station on the Hot Mess Express and you are riding that thing. But it comes home. It comes home. You may be in a situation or you may be in a circumstance where you feel so alone. You feel so far gone. You feel so broken. But you don't have to stay there.
No, you're never too far gone.
But I think a lot of people stay there.
If anyone can be the testament to you're never too far gone, it's this guy.
And one day we'll talk about
Never too
it.
far gone.
This is just a little...
Truly, like, let that encourage you. If you're feeling like that's just not for me, yes, it is. It is.
That's right. That's
and
right.
don't believe otherwise. That's a lie from hell.
Yeah. And you may be a leader. You may be a pastor. You may be somebody at a level in their life where you have a lot of eyes on you. And that's an isolating place, being in front of so many people, but you are so alone. Even for you, there's freedom. And I think it's something to be said about people in leadership who lead from a place of humility on their knees, transparently and vulnerably, authentically walking out their relationship with the Lord as they lead other people to Him. That's a leader.
I love that.
That's good. How do we start talking about marriage and ended up talking about...
I don't know.
Wow, that's good.
We
sure went on a journey there.
went on a journey.
Anything else we should say?
No,
All right.
not really.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Bye.
Bye.